Wasting no time in their offseason, getting their superstar tight end on the books for the foreseeable future. San Francisco locking up six-time Pro Bowler George Kittle in a deal. It is a 4-year extension worth over $76 million, including $40 million of that guaranteed. Kittle has played his entire career in San Francisco after being drafted in the 5th round in 2017. As promised, Peter Schrager here to break all things down. We had a bunch of different questions scripted for you, and then we get the breaking news 10 minutes ago. That's show business, baby. So, Peter, what is your reaction to this extension?
Well, it keeps George Kittle as a 49er, as he should be. Back in 2020, 5 years ago, they had a long, arduous contract negotiation that ended up with having Kittle being the highest paid tight end in the league. That was in 2020. I remember it because I remember speaking with George the day after, and I said, how'd you celebrate? He said, well, we had some Panda Express and wine in my apartment last night. I said, that's George Kittle for you. Yeah. 5 years later, this was going down that road again, where it was getting in the public a little bit that Kittle wasn't thrilled with his deal. It was up. Well, they take care of him. And now the question is, if you're keeping this thing going and the consistency, what do we do with Fred Warner? What do we do with Brock Purdy? The Niners, they're not saying their window is closed just yet. They're keeping it open, and it's a lot of the guys that were there for that whole run that took them to 2 Super Bowl appearances and all those NFC Championship games.
Because Debo is now in D.C., and you're looking at Kittle, 31 years old, still led the 49ers in receiving yards and touchdowns and catches. All right, let's run the 2-minute drill. Here we go. 128 days until opening night. Draft is over. Free agency, they're done, barring any unexpected chaos. So what storylines, Schrags, should we be watching for right now?
All right, here are just 4 stories that I would keep an eye on over the next several months. First is Aaron Rodgers' watch, and I can call it Aaron Rodgers' watch 2025. We got that Jets logo there. He's currently on the market. Who wants him? Well, the Steelers seem to be the team, yet is he actually going to play? Because you saw him on McAfee. He said, I've got some personal things to deal with.
Yep.
I'll tell you this. He told the Giants and the Steelers straight up, I have no timetable. If you want to move on, you can move on. The Giants, they opted to pivot. They went with Russell Wilson and of course, Jameis Winston, and now a rookie. Steelers, Will Howard's the only new quarterback they had. He's a 6th round pick. 2, we got the schedule release, May 14th. It's a couple Wednesdays from now. And I want to see who the Eagles open up with. This, to me, is an interesting one. The NFL usually will pit the teams that they think are going to be relevant at the end of the season. The Eagles' schedule, some of the teams that they could play at home, well, the Rams, the Lions, the Bears, and how about the Raiders? Some interesting teams that they could possibly do, and of course, the entire NFC East is a possibility. Who deserves that prime billing of that Thursday night game? My third one's an interesting one. James Cook. You're like, James Cook? Yeah, we know. Josh Allen's the MVP. A lot of running backs got paid this offseason, including Saquon getting a renegotiated deal that will make him the highest paid running back in the league. James Cook was unbelievable last year. He's entering the final year of his contract. His agent and him have publicly said they want more than $15 million. The Bills have scoffed at that number. James Cook is an amazing player. Awesome, and was huge in that AFC Championship game. They need him. Let's see what they can do. The last one is this. I go Shador, but it's really the Browns quarterback room. Like, I don't know if they can do Hard Knocks because of all the rules, but I would love to just have a camera on all of these names. Now, look, Deshaun Watson, he's going to be paid $46 million to not play. Must be nice. Then you got Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco, Dylan Gabriel, who was drafted before Shador in the 3rd round, and then Shador Sanders. I'm curious, how does it work out in minicamp? How does it work out in training camp? And then when we get to week 1 with the Cleveland Browns, who is under center?
And that's your 2 minutes. Peter Schrager, a professional, breaking things down this morning on SportsCenter. Schrags, fantastic to see you, man. Thanks.
Thanks.
I know they were 5-12 last year and in the cellar of the division, but you got to turn that around at some point, and it feels like all the pieces are in place to do so in 2025.
You bring up an interesting way of looking at it, right, in terms of the rookie contracts, because if I look at that division without money, I would sit there and say that the quarterback that has the most pressure on them to be great, and you have them on the list here, is Jordan Love. I think he has to be great.
More than Trevor Lawrence?
They're not. No, I'm saying in
Oh,
NFC
in
North.
the NFC North.
Not
Okay, got
the
it.
list.
I thought you meant in the list in general.
No.
Sorry.
I'm saying the Packers are on the list, and I would also say that he has more pressure on him than any quarterback in that division to be great. That said, Go back to the quarterback rules as featured on ESPN.com twice. No big deal. Who has the best chance of high-level success outperforming their contract? It's Caleb. Because I don't want to jump to a conclusion. I don't know what J.J. McCarthy's going to be. Can he outperform his contract? Yes, obviously, because his contract is so low, relative, as you said, relatively speaking. But this was the number one pick in the draft who's going to make $8.9 million this year, whose team, I don't want to say is loaded around him, but loaded up around him every which way on the offensive side of the ball. And I will continue to go back to something that John Yurkovich said, former NFL player, defensive lineman. We were on Carmen and Yurko on ESPN 1000 last week. He continuously said, and I agree with him, Bears fans cannot complain. You begged and screamed. You wanted Ben Johnson. He was the savior for all of it, that it's no longer just on Caleb. He's the guy to fix everything. So Caleb has to be great for the team to be great because his contract is so low.
Well, not just Bears fans. This is the head coach that Caleb Williams wanted
Good
too.
point, too, when he went on the podcast.
He verbalized that. He communicated. He wanted Ben Johnson to be his head coach. Well, you got him. Somebody that's innovative, somebody that finds a way to be creative when it comes to the X's and O's. It won't be boring when it comes to a Ben Johnson offense, especially if the offensive line is not an impediment to what he wants to draw up from an X's and O's standpoint. And based on what the Chicago Bears have done this offseason, it won't be. That offensive line is fortified. Think about it. They added 3 veterans for the interior of that offensive line, 2 trades and a free agent signing. They got Braxton Jones and Darnell Wright, bookend tackles. They added another tackle in the second round of this year's draft, one of 3 second-round picks that they've had. So they have everything that you need from an offensive line standpoint by virtue of talent, by virtue of depth, to be able to get it done. They got the skill position players to throw the football to. I'll have to take a wait-and-see approach when it comes to the running backs, but DeAndre Swift has been a 1,000-yard back in this league. And Roshan Johnson, your number 2, had 6 rushing touchdowns last year. So you've got enough of a running game. This is on you to make it work. In the NFL, nothing is going to be perfect. Mm-hmm. This is as ideal as you could ask for when it comes to a quarterback and the players around him on the offensive side of the ball.
Do you think it works against him, too, that Jaden Daniels had so much success last year,
Yes.
and C.J. Stroud had so much success the year prior and again last year, taking his team to the playoffs?
Yes.
I just wonder, without those two having the seasons that they've had right out of the gate, if we would have so much pressure on Caleb Williams in year 2.
I'm glad you brought up Jaden Daniels. The team around Caleb Williams right now is better than the team that was around Jaden Daniels last year when they went to the Final Four. From a talent standpoint, it's better. Now, coaching, stability, obviously that wasn't great for Caleb last year, but he's got that now with Ben Johnson. There is no question about that. So there is no excuse why Caleb Williams can't get this team to the postseason.
Sẽ móc sang cái màu sắc tiếp theo đúng không ạ? And right now, when affordability matters most, Hyundai is committed to keeping our prices the same, with no increase to MSRP. And not just on a few of our vehicles, all of them. That's the Hyundai way.
My kids can't hide anything from me. I'm home. Especially when they've been using toilet paper that doesn't hold up.
Alright, whatever. Okay. Let me cover this. So did y'all see this? So apparently there's this guy, some random guy. He walked up on DeMar DeRozan. And I think he was trying to troll him. But he ended up getting attacked and body slammed or slapped by, he says, this is his tweet. He says, I just got attacked and body slapped by DeMar DeRozan.
Tiếp tục mắc vào nha mọi người. Chúng ta phiên từng mũi. Móc lại một chút kiểu này. Móc tiếp này. Nữa này. Một lần lượt từng buổi rồi đó.
4 days away, and even though nobody knows exactly where we'll see quarterbacks.
Bro, the level just started and we're already getting overrun. I gotta take these guys out and build this crossbow tower as fast as possible.
Back to Sanders next season. We do know he ain't hard to find. He also apparently hasn't.
FC Dunk and Bucket. Now anyone can dunk.
Tiếp tục mắc nữa.
With 3 sauces, fries, new mashed potato poppers, and original recipe tenders. Dunk for $7 or get enough to share for $25.